Oh, wait. I just realized my sound is turned off. That's dumb. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Why Ukraine live stream. Coming to you live from a random hotel room in Kiev. I don't know if you knew I was back in business. Well, so cool. So we have you guys. This is one of those crazy situations, right? I have it on the other screen. Shut up, other me. Um, so you guys have seen this person in the chat like probably 100 times before, and so this is Gregory.
Hello.
Who you guys have seen in the chat, and I think it's so cool that like somebody who was just you were in Canada, right?
Virginia.
Oh, Virginia.
I was assistant professor at Sweetbriar College in Virginia.
Wow.
In beginning of June.
Wow.
And then I moved to my brother's place, and then I caught a flight to Warsaw.
Wow.
And then bought a vehicle there and drove from Warsaw to Kiev.
Wow.
It was a long
that's a really long drive for sure.
And
for sure.
Then I've been here maybe about a month now. Been working to get everything set up. I've got a tax ID number, working to get bank account, get money moved over, and get everything settled in.
Yeah, that takes a while, and it can be very confusing. I can tell you that I still do not have a working bank account in Ukraine. It is a real problem. So if you are successful in getting it set up, please tell me how.
Well, I've got the bank accounts. I've actually got two of them. The problem is getting my money from the United States over here.
Right. Let me rephrase that. I have two bank accounts. I can't do anything with them. Yeah. It's super like, what the hell? And right. So I need to make a slight correction on the title, because for some reason I had in my brain that you were from Canada. I guess it's the
wow. I visited Canada a couple times. Toronto and British Columbia,
so have I.
Yeah,
that doesn't make me Canadian either.
Born in Georgia, USA. And here, when I tell people I was born in Georgia, I have to make sure it's clear to them that it's
right
the state Georgia in the United States, not Georgia the nation.
But
born in Georgia, raised in Florida, and been all over the United States. I was in California, then I moved to Virginia to be an assistant professor, and then started my
So you were born in California?
Born in Georgia.
Okay, born in Georgia. Right. Wow, that's a cool trip. So, all right. So I'm going to ask you the same. By the way, can everybody hear Gregory? Okay. Because the mic is a little bit far away, but we don't have anywhere else to put it. Like, unless we
could move the stuff.
I guess we could, yeah. But just let me know if the sound is okay. All right. So, all right. So I'm going to ask you the same question that I ask. No, that everyone asks me.
Yeah.
Why did you come to Ukraine?
Okay. Well, there's a short answer and a long answer. The short answer is there's a saying that all that is required for evil to flourish is for good people to sit and do nothing.
Hell yeah.
And I decided I'm not going to sit and do nothing. I'm going to do whatever I can to fight on the side of good to make sure Ukraine wins this war and Russia's defeated. It's not just Russia being defeated, but Russia's ideology and their ruthless, morally bankrupt perspective has to be defeated. Yeah. And a defeat on the battlefield will be a defeat of their ideology. Yep. And so Russia's perspective is, you can see some of this in the history, not just of Russia, but of Nazi Germany. Mm-hmm. It's the point of view that people are nothing more than a resource to be acquired. Yeah. People, nations, countries, land is nothing more than a resource to be acquired, controlled, and expended. Yeah. There's no thought for human beings. There's no humanity. There's no ethics in that. It's just callous disregard about human suffering.
For human life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why so many of the things that Russia does, the country and the people in the Kremlin do, mirrors things that Nazi Germany did. Yeah. Because in the same way, they want to build an empire. Yeah. And they think that their right to an empire trumps everybody else's right to exist. Yeah. Yeah. And that's
And
how they
I
operate.
think they know what they're doing when they accuse Ukraine and everyone else in the world except for themselves of being Nazi. You know, it's a classic case of one finger pointed at everyone else and three fingers pointed directly back at them. You know.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the Russian way, where you know that you're doing something, and you know you will be accused, and it will look like you're doing something. So you try to preempt that by accusing everyone else of the crime that you're committing.
Yeah. I spoke, maybe it was last week or the week before, about Kohlberg's theory of moral development, where you have this pre-moral or maybe like preschool level morality, which is somebody else did it, so that means it's okay for me to do it too, and it's a criminal morality essentially, and there are different projection. Mitch just said projection, and there's a lot of parallels to Nazi Germany, but the Nazi Germany under Goebbels and things, they were very conscious. Goebbels and his philosophy of propaganda and things, they were very conscious in terms of what they were doing. And I just sometimes I feel like with the Russians, it's like it's subconscious. It's like part of their culture to do this. It's been so ingrained for so many generations. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong. You make a good point. It's the Soviet and before that the Russian way to conquer land. You seize it and you try to Russify it.
Yeah.
Meaning, if there's a culture and a people there, you try to race them. Yeah. If you can't get them to believe the Russians, you kill those that don't. That's the reason for the Holodomor.
To be fair, I mean, arguably, America did that in the 19th century, and other countries. But I just feel like we hopefully like to think that we evolved out of that, and I feel like Russia just never did.
Yeah. Russia is an example right now. The Russian government is an example of the very worst of what humanity is capable of. It's not that they're the only people who ever done it. It's been done, but we're trying to evolve and improve as a species. And to defeat Russia in this war is to defeat their ideology. And it's a chance to step forward for the whole human race to improve and say, we don't do this anymore, and take a step forward. And so either Ukraine wins, step forward as a whole.
Yeah.
Or if we allow Russia to win because we don't support Ukraine, the whole species takes a step back.
Yeah.
So that's another perspective.
This is really good. Earlier or last week, I had yet another one of my students, Ukrainians, ask me for the umpteenth time, why do people outside of Ukraine want to support Ukraine? Why do these Americans want to support Ukraine? It boggles their mind. They can't believe that anybody would want to help them. And I think I'm going to assign your what you just said there. I'm going to assign it as homework to my student, because I try to explain these things to them, and I think they don't believe me sometimes. Especially if I'm the only native English speaker or American that they've ever met in many cases, so like they'll ask things like, well, is it because there's a lot of Ukrainians in America, or maybe people have family in Ukraine? I'm like, no, there's almost no Ukrainians in America. It's no, we look at you guys the way I tend to try to explain it is, look, we 200 something years ago, we cast off Great Britain. We cast off monarchy in favor of freedom and democracy. And now we want the whole world to, when we believe on some level, we're not always successful in living up to our beliefs, but we all believe on some level that it's like our goal and duty to spread democracy and freedom through the whole world, for better or for worse. And sometimes we screw that up, but that's still like we're all brought up believing that that's our, and that it's a really hard thing for Ukrainians to wrap their melon around,
I would suggest explaining to your student that Americans like us see this as not just a war of Ukraine versus Russia. This is a war between democracy and despotism. It's a war between civilization and barbarism. And it's a war between good and evil. If you look at all the things Russia has done to Ukraine, it's just evil. There's no other word that fits it. It's a complete disregard of humanity, of human suffering, of right. And they just do whatever they think help them win. It's just evil. And
it's so ironic right now that with like in the Kursk invasion right now, of course, we've seen plenty of videos of Russian POWs being arrested and Ukrainian soldiers basically being nice to Russian civilians, and at the same time, Russian propaganda is reporting on the news that, oh yeah, Ukrainians are bombing every single house in every village, and we see the pictures, we see the video. That's clearly not the case. It's like one here and one there, a little bit in civilian areas. It's almost nothing. And it's again what Mitch said about projection. It's like it's just boggles the mind. It drives me crazy. Someone, I think Ozzy Bugga had a question, which I don't know who was directed at, me or you, but the question was about how are Ukrainians feeling about this Kursk invasion? Have you talked to any recently? Have they mentioned it to you?
It hasn't been mentioned to anyone I've talked to. So yeah, I don't really know at this point. I don't have any data points for that.
Yeah. Well, okay, yeah. So I do, and I mean they're all like, woohoo, because for so long, for more than a year now, every Ukrainian has just been on pins and needles, like a roller coaster of, oh my God, every time they hear the news, you know what I mean? And it's just like, this is if nothing else happens, the raising the spirits, as I think someone said in our group, raising the spirit. Oh, Sally, good Ukrainian there. Привіт, друзі, means hello, friends. Raising the spirits of Ukrainians. I also think that strategically, this is a big argument that's happening right now. I think that strategically it was a good move because A, you want to keep your opponent guessing. Second of all, there's this big pipeline that was really close to the Ukrainian border there, and they just blew it up. So, and it was the only pipeline, the only other pipeline for natural gas coming from Russia into Europe.
Okay, so I didn't hear about the pipeline getting blown up. I heard about Ukraine seizing it.
Yeah. I understood it was blown up. Maybe I'm wrong. I know it was at least seized. I heard it was blown up.
Wouldn't surprise me if Russia blew it up.
Yeah. Well, it needs to be permanently disabled because, that's tens of millions of dollars basically every day going to Russia to pay directly for this war. And it really speaks to, that natural gas has been going not just to Hungary, but also to Austria, and even France has been buying that natural gas through that exact pipeline. And it's basically Ukraine saying, no more. We're doubling down on this. And if nothing else, that strategic control, I think this is why I've started to think it's not just a, border raid. It really is. I really think that they are going to hold on to control of that for as long as possible. Now, the second thing is the nuclear power plant, the Kursk nuclear power plant. Yeah. And it's extremely dangerous. I don't know if they're going to try to take it or threaten it.
They might encircle it.
Yeah, exactly.
They could encircle it and then say, we'll cease the encirclement if you give us Zaporizhzhia.
You withdraw from Zaporizhzhia. Yeah, exactly.
I feel like if Ukraine did blow it up, and maybe they did, maybe it was Russia, maybe it hasn't been blown up, I don't know. But if Ukraine did, it would be a bit of a gamble because, yes, you don't want the Russia to get revenue from that, but you also don't want to piss off Ukraine's allies.
Right.
So
well, yeah, that's the thing is it's kind of like saying to it's definitely saying to the countries that are still buying gas, like, you're not doing this anymore, no matter what. And whether it was blown up or just seized,
or maybe just turned off, maybe Russia blew it up.
Mm-hmm,
it wouldn't surprise me given what they did with the Nord Stream.
Sure.
Russia
And
could blow it up and blame it on Ukraine.
Possibly. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
So, going back to you,
Mm-hmm.
So now we know like why you decided to come here. How long do you think you're going to stay?
I'm here until the war's won.
Wow.
Or until I run out of money. I've got probably enough money for about 4 years.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's cheap to live here.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And well, I'll just let you know right now. I'll do whatever it takes to help you get your land legs and get settled here.
Thanks.
Introduce you to people who I know who are trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to, because any Ukrainian will tell you there are a lot of scammers and rip-off artists in Ukraine, and yeah, you do have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
But most people are good-hearted, and especially now they understand how important foreign help is, and any volunteer who's coming in to do stuff. So, have you done any 3D printing yet?
Yes. So there's something called the Print Army, the Druk Army.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think I sent you the URL.
You sent me the link to it. I think I'd seen it before somewhere, but yeah.
Yeah. So I printed something for that. It was an order of 5 sets of quick loaders for magazines.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was 5.45 size of the ammunition.
5.56.
5.56, yeah. So
or yeah, it could be. There are other ones though. Like there is a 5.45, which is uncommon, but I think like the French FAL gun or something has that. But yeah.
So the way the website works, you sign up on it, and you say, okay, I've got a printer. I'm willing to print something, and you look and see what people have put up as
Mm-hmm.
a request to have printed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found something. I wanted to start with something that I couldn't screw up.
Yeah.
It was pretty simple, autoloaders, and there's 3 pieces. There's a tray like this big, and then it's got a thing that slides on it to push the rounds into the magazine, and then it's got a tray that you load the rounds on, just in down, and then slide into the larger tray, and then you slide the thing down to load the rounds. The thing that the little tray that you first load with the rounds, each one has 16 of them. So there's 5 of these autoloaders. Each autoloader has 16 of these trays. So it's a whole bunch of these little trays. And I guess the idea is you can sit there and just load these trays, and then when you put them in the larger tray and move the slide down, it loads it into the magazine really quickly.
Let me tell you something. So I don't know about 5.56 or 5.45, but I've hand loaded an AK mag a few times, and your thumbs are like, and it takes a hell of a long time. And you're really helping people doing that for sure. And especially, I was just thinking about it. If it was like an odd, so the primary sizes, primary bullet gauges or whatever here are 5.56, which is the NATO rounds, and then the AK rounds, which are generally 739. They're big anyway, and then there's some odd sizes in the middle between there for guns that are usually gifted from NATO or whatever. That it makes sense that they would ask for that, because it might be something that people are having difficulty, finding autoloaders for those specific rounds. And it's also really important because people, if you do have one of those guns, you want to go out to the battlefield with a lot of mags full, because unlike with AKs, you're unlikely to be able to just pick up mags off the ground or find ammo out there if you're storming trenches. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Mark. So 5.56, 545 by 39 is. Thank you. Oh my God. I would just like to say that I walked my ass off to get here across Kyiv. An hour ago, I was in Pechursk Lavra, actually, which, if you've seen that in the news, it's a famous monument monastery here. Thank you for reminding me. Oh, wow. Kenneth, thank you very much for gifting 10 memberships to everybody. I hope you all are enjoying talking about this. Oh, who do we got as new members? Surprise, it's us. That's an appropriate name. Wow. Okay, there's a lot of people. Oh, Janine. Hello, Janine. Good to see you're hanging out. Andreas Lach, Amphibious One, Maria, Jennifer, MJ up north. Super cool. Linda Carlson, Patty, JP Van Eck. I know I've seen you many times before. Wow, Ken, thank you really a lot for, it really makes a huge difference. And I'm sorry I haven't been paying as much attention to the chat as I normally do because I'm sitting here talking, but I hope you guys are enjoying and learning. Yes, this is Greg, Catherine. Thank you. I just saw Catherine 10 minutes ago asked if, yes, this is Greg, and those of you who are just joining us, this is Gregory from our chat who you've seen in the chat of our live streams many times before. And one thing I want to emphasize is a lot of people, like in America, and people who want to support Ukraine are really nervous about just picking up and coming to another country.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that? Were you nervous about this?
Well, I was apprehensive about not getting all my ducks in a row before I came here. I knew a lot of the trouble would involve finances, and I have savings that I'm drawing on, but the problem is moving the money to where I can use it.
Don't I know? Oh my God.
So I have a small little credit union that I use, but they don't want to wire money internationally.
Yep.
So I had to find creative ways to move some of my money. When I bought the vehicle, it was about $8,000 for a used Dacia Duster. And what I had to do was do a Western Union, actually 2 Western Union transfers, where it would bill the money to my debit card with my bank in the United States, and then wire the money to an IBAN, which is the IBAN of the account of the person selling the vehicle. I had to do it in two pieces because normally it's a $5,000 maximum. Yeah. So I had to find kind of creative ways. When I bought my printer from Prusa Research, that was a nightmare. It's a great printer. It's a Prusa Mark IV. It works wonderfully. It's a great printer. But paying for it with an American debit card while I'm in Europe was a nightmare. They wouldn't accept it. Their regular payment system wouldn't accept it. What I finally had to do was go to Western Union again, but they don't want to send money to businesses, only people. So I told them that Joseph Prusa was a friend of mine. I was just wiring money to him.
Hilarious. Hilarious.
And was able to finally send it.
Wow.
So it really can be a challenge moving money around.
And since the war started, they've made it even more difficult, actually. They've put more restrictions in place.
Yeah. So when I got here, I found that I could no longer access my online banking for my bank in the United States because they blocked Ukrainian.
And now, were you able to find a VPN that worked?
Well, what I can do is I can call them up. So I have a Google Voice account.
Okay.
So at 3 p.m. here is when it's 8 a.m. Eastern. Yeah. And so that's when the bank opens. So starting 3 p.m. here, I can get on Google Voice and call my bank over Google Voice and just tell them to do whatever I need them to do. So it's more of an inconvenience than a showstopper. So if I need them to raise the limit on my debit card or update the travel notice, I just have to call them. Yeah. And I've asked them if they can not block the IP And they say, well, we don't know.
They don't even
We
have
can't
control over that.
Yeah.
They have some IT guy in some dark room somewhere.
Yeah.
And even when I was a network administrator in America, Ukraine was always one of the places that we just automatically blocked, because it was just standard security policy, So I have, it took me a long time. I had to try a lot of different VPNs. So I had Chase Bank.
Okay. So that's actually a bank that I want to get an account with, but yeah.
Don't.
Oh, don't?
Don't. They are not an international bank.
Okay.
They will not send you a card here in Ukraine or in Europe at all, I found out, because I lost my Chase card not even before I came to Ukraine. I was still traveling in Germany, and I lost my Chase card, and I was like, okay, well, I'm sure you have like a partnership with some other bank, or most like Capital One or any of these other banks, they will have some kind of a partnership like that. And you can just walk into an international bank and get your Capital One card or whatever. And Chase is like, no, we don't do that at all. If you want a card, you have to come back to the United States.
Wow.
And I was like, no, your bank is not worth it for me. So I spent my first year here, going through Western Union. I swear to God, I probably was putting some Western Union executive's kid through college. You know what I mean? Like with all the damn fees.
Yeah.
And finally, basically, my girlfriend, my future wife, took pity on me and let me start using her Ukrainian bank account just for daily transactions and stuff, just to make things easier, so I didn't have to do cash every single place. And then I went and got an online bank account with GoToBank.
Okay.
It's like when you go to Walmart and they have this bank account you can get there for people who can't get bank accounts. Basically, that was the situation, because like you said, the IP address and the VPN and all this stuff, it was just such a hassle. You can use so I can just tell you, Payoneer is one. Wise is another one.
Does Wise still work in Ukraine? I heard they actually stopped.
Oh God, they might have. That's the thing. It's a good idea to sign up for as many as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Because just like Rick the Ukrainian, Rick the Ukrainian, he just posted, and you guys saw this, right? Rick the Ukrainian. I'm going to be on his show tomorrow. But Buy Me a Coffee just decided they're not sending any more payments to Ukraine.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Luckily my Buy Me a Coffee account goes to my American account. But even now I can't get, so I have 3 American bank accounts now, but I can't get the cards sent to me here. So you can't physically mail them.
Do you have anyone in the United States that can receive the cards?
Yes, they receive the cards. They took a picture of the cards, sent it to me, and now it's all on my Google Pay. And so that's how I pay for everything. It's just an incredible hassle. And also PayPal. A lot of people, PayPal is another workaround, but again, sending money using PayPal from America or Europe to Ukraine, to a Ukrainian account. Like PayPal now works in Ukraine, but you can't always send, they'll put like a 5 or 10 day hold on the money. It's such a hassle.
I could deal with that. Is it possible if you've got a PayPal account and you got an American bank account and the bank won't, your American bank won't send money to an IBAN. It'll only send it to an ACH in America.
Yeah.
So can you use PayPal then to get money into a Ukrainian bank account?
That is what I have been doing.
Okay.
That is exactly.
You'll have to show me how to do that, because
I will do that. Yeah. I'll show you how I do it. Now, the first time you do that, though, you might have problems, and they might put a hold on it, blah blah blah. But you just got to try it.
A 5 day hold's not a big deal.
Exactly.
As long as the money comes.
As long as it works. Yeah. Exactly. So you guys, yeah, KK's GG says it seems like everyone is stopping services to Ukraine at some point. I don't know if they're setting or if they're getting the intent of sanctions wrong or what. Yes, they're absolutely getting the intent of sanctions wrong. This is what Buy Me a Coffee. Buy Me a Coffee is putting out videos. Mark saying when staying focused on the war. Okay. So what Buy Me a Coffee is saying is we can't tell if people raising money on Buy Me a Coffee, if they are living in, occupied territories of Ukraine or unoccupied territories of Ukraine. And basically what they say is we don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Now, you guys may remember back in April, for more than a month actually, the reason I switched to Buy Me a Coffee is that my Shopify, so this website here, which I should share because it is, largely, I do enjoy talking to you guys, but I also like to try and, big part of what I do is raising money for the Ukrainian army. So my Shopify account was put on hold for like a month and a half.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And it turned out that the reason that they were doing this was to verify that I was not raising money for the Russians in Donetsk or Luhansk or something. But it's like, it was so.
I'm glad that they at least want to prevent that.
Right. Their heart is in the right place, at least.
Yeah.
So they sent me an email, but the email got lost in my spam folder.
Oh, okay.
And then they, then they blocked me. And they were like, yeah, well, we're going to send you an email. And so I was looking for emails coming in. It turned out they had sent me the email like a month before. And I just didn't see it. And anyway, but eventually we did get it worked out. But it was like a month and a half of me screaming at my screen.
Yeah.
I mean, you could call it an overabundance of caution. But in the case of something like Buy Me a Coffee, I mean, a lot of it, I think, is just ignorance on the part of these banks, but it's also just, it's too much trouble and we don't really care.
Yeah.
That's really the thing. As far as accessing your American bank account here in Ukraine, the only VPN that I found that works 90% of the time, and they should be paying me for this, but is PIA, private internet access.
Okay.
I've tried almost all the other ones, and so I mean, for myself, speaking as a network engineer, a VPN can still be detected essentially by the receiving end and by the sender. It's still possible to, even though it's supposed to be a virtual private network, it's still possible to deconstruct those packets of information as they're going across. And that's what banks do. And lots of other secure institutions, because they want to know if this person who's logging in, are they really in the place where they say they are? And so there's different ways of configuring the packets, all this other stuff. Anyway, PIA works. And confused. BMAC and BMAC. Are we talking about two? Yes, no. BMAC is Buy Me a Coffee. Yes, Buy Me a Coffee is not. You're right, Sally. So many people in Ukraine, so many Ukrainians rely on Buy Me a Coffee. That's right. It really is going to hurt a lot of Ukrainians. It's a travesty. There's just no excuse for it, really, to be honest. And I am actually going to disable my Buy Me a Coffee page. I was planning on doing that today, but I just didn't have time. I'll probably do it tomorrow. You know what? I'm going to do it during the stream tomorrow with Rick the Ukrainian. That'll be a good time to do it. Yeah, KKSGG says, I hope it's not just a convenient excuse for being pro-orc. I mean, maybe there are some, some individuals there's going to be individuals just statistically in any company, in any organization, there's going to be a percentage who are pro because they're pro-Trump or because they believe in conspiracy theories or whatever it is.
Or they think that the quickest way to end the war is for Ukraine to lose.
They
want.
Yeah.
I've seen this before. Some people, and it's absolutely disgusts me, but they don't really care about ethics or morality.
Yeah.
They just want business as usual to return.
Yeah.
And they think the quickest way for that is for Ukraine to lose.
Yeah.
What they don't understand is Ukraine's not going to give up. The Ukrainians aren't going to give up, and the people helping Ukraine aren't going to give up. This won't be over until Russia's defeated. That's right.
That's so right. Yeah. And the more you are here, the more you will, that will be confirmed for you. So you have a friend here who is, and I'm not sure because I'm not logged into Instagram or Facebook on this account, but I'm going to try and see if we can show because,
so
let's see.
This is Alexander. He's a friend of mine. He's helped me kind of get situated here. I'm working on 2 different projects with him to help the Ukrainian military. And so he also has a charity foundation called Freedom Ukraine that he established to help raise money for Ukrainian military units for things that they need.
Does that say fund?
Fond.
Oh, Fond Freedom Ukraine.
Fond Freedom Ukraine.
Okay.
Yeah. But humanitarian work. So one of the first things I did after I arrived is I arrived in the middle of a heat wave in Kiev.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was regularly all day during the day, more than 100 degrees outside. Well, I don't know how many people are familiar with Operation Cowboy. A lot of horses were rescued from German-occupied territory.
No, I didn't know anything about this.
So the Lipizzaner stallions had been grabbed by the Nazis.
Really?
And a lot of other prize horses had been grabbed by the Nazis. And, they were into genetics and breeding and selective breeding and things.
Sure.
So they're trying to do the same thing with the horses. Well, Nazi regime collapses, and where the horses were being held were actually in the zones that were going to be controlled by the Russians.
Wow.
Well, you can imagine what would happen to the horses if Russians that have poor logistics, the soldiers aren't well fed.
Yeah.
They get a hold of those horses, they're just going to be eaten.
Yeah.
So an American contingent went in, gathered up these horses, got them out. Wow. And some were taken to different places in Western Europe. Some were returned from where they were abducted from by the Nazis. I think a few were sent to American horse breeders in the United States and sold to get money to fund the program. But anyway, that was back at the end of World War II. So Ukraine, and I mention this because Ukraine is doing something. They're not selling the horses, but they're trying to gather up some people in Ukraine are trying to gather up these horses out of the hot zones.
Really?
And they're gathering together, getting to someplace that's safe.
Yeah.
This is causing some problems with overcrowding in the safe areas. So a number of the stables, like around Kiev, are getting overcrowded because they have taken in all these horses and are trying to feed them. And also during the heat wave, it was really unsafe for the horses.
Yeah.
Because it can get really hot in those stables.
Yeah, horses are actually a big thing here. There's a lot of stables. I've been to a couple of different places where you pay like 600 grivnas or something, and you could go on a horseback ride, something like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they're trying to set up. Where are they setting this up? Where are they doing
this? We went to one of the stables that's outside Kiev, and they were taking in these horses. They were pretty close to full, and they didn't have any means of cooling things down inside the stable. So they didn't have the funds themselves to do this. So we got money from this charity foundation, and we bought fans and electric cables, brought them to the stable, set them up so air could be circulated from outside. And the outside air wasn't quite as hot as the air inside the stable.
Right. And you just get that kind of a breeze going through, and then the sweat starts to work a little bit. To be honest with you, I did the same damn thing in my house. I basically just sat with so of course half the time the power was off, but whenever the power was on, I just sat in front of the fan. I just got my hair wet and just sat in front of the fan. So yeah, I totally feel those horses.
I walked through the stables, and I took some pictures of the horses, which I can share with you if you want. But it just kind of broke my heart. These horses, they're involved in this. They don't understand what's going on. They've done nothing wrong, and they're subject to hardship, and pain, and suffering because of this war. And the people that have taken them into these stables, they're pretty much broke. They don't have a lot of money. Like they couldn't afford to go buy fans. We went and bought fans for them.
Horses are expensive.
They're struggling to feed the horses. So that's one thing that we're happy to take donations for, is money to help out these horses. And it's not just at this stable. It's horses all over Ukraine have been taken out of the hot zones and put into stables in safe areas. But as I said, that's
really cool. That's really cool. I know somebody, and I don't think she's watching this stream, but
send her the link.
Yeah. I might. Those of you who know Blonde Bombsheller, you've probably talked to her.
I've talked to her.
Dude, she that's her whole big thing, is she cares for horses, and she had a whole big plan. She may still, I haven't talked to her in a while, to come to Ukraine and do like kind of animal rescue type of stuff, specifically with horses, but also in a way to use the horses to help treat PTSD in soldiers, because that's something that's done in the States as well. Okay. So she kind of wants to combine those two things, was her idea. That's so maybe idea. if you have her, you message her in some way, she might be, she might be all excited about it. Who knows?
I'll mention that to her. Thanks for telling me.
Yeah, for sure. This is one of those things. You get to know people after a while, and pretty soon you're like, oh, I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. That's how things go here. So this is the page for that. Yeah, I think this is the page. I can't read this here. Hang on. Blagodiny Fund Freedom Ukraine. Yeah. Blagodiny Fund Freedom Ukraine. Super cool. Awesome. So guys, definitely check that out. The Facebook name is Fond, Fond, because in Ukrainian, fund is spelled with an O, because in the Ukrainian language, they don't really have a short U sound. They don't really have a sound. I mean, they technically do, but they don't distinguish it from other sounds. It doesn't exist in their alphabet, I guess. So Fond Freedom Ukraine.
Would you like me to send you some pictures of the horses?
Yeah, for sure.
I can do that
for sure. Yeah. So anyway, guys, I hope that there we go. Oh wow, that's really big. That's bigger than I intended. I was going more for something like this. There we go.
So here is a picture of the autoloader.
Oh, the autoloaders, yeah.
And then,
wow, man.
So here's the horses.
Send, if you can, I know that we're in the middle of a stream, but send that all to me.
Okay.
On Discord.
Yeah.
And then we'll show people. So let's see. Ozzy Bugga says, could Rick have a trusted proxy in another country collect and pass on his, to be honest with you, Ozzy Bugga, I was thinking about that myself, because I have a Buy Me a Coffee account, and hell, he could just use mine. You know what I mean? But to be honest with you, I would want to have an accountant for that. Like, I barely trust myself with money. Other people's money, I feel like I'm pretty trustworthy with. but it just freaks me out. It scares me. You know what I mean?
I understand. There's
I do plan to get an accountant to handle the stuff. If you guys donate too much more money, I'm gonna have to hire a permanent accountant. My wife is a professional accountant, and she's like, "Hell no, I don't want to do that. I can't get." It's really frustrating.
I can show you also. These are some textbooks I got.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm learning Ukrainian.
Oh, so you're learning Ukrainian. Awesome, awesome.
I'll show this to the viewers.
Here,
so
yeah.
I ordered these just after I arrived, and they arrived from
There we go. Yeah.
Nova Poshta. And
Nice.
the great thing is I can use these books, so I'm learning Ukrainian from them, but also I'm supporting Ukrainian publishing.
Yeah.
And these were actually incredibly cheap for textbooks. I think all three of them were something like $30. I was shocked.
Yeah, that is cheap for 3 textbooks. Yeah, especially in America, $30. They'll barely let you walk in the bookstore for $30.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Here, I don't know how I did that with my screen, but it's a new thing, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, so this is super cool. Let's see. Oh, that reminds me. Have you ever heard of Pimsleur? It's a language learning curriculum app thing. I have it.
Okay.
I have like all of it for Ukraine.
I think maybe you mentioned it to me.
Yeah. Maybe I sent you a file. It's just for getting conversationally good. I mean, this will take you probably further. Maybe I should borrow this from you.
So there's an organization called Balakum that teaches, it helps. Mostly it's been helping teach Ukrainians English, but they have a Ukrainian in the program that's also teaching Ukrainian to English speakers. And every week, Friday evening, they have a class. And
really?
I've been attending this class.
Where? Here in Kyiv, right?
Well, it's just online. We do a Zoom call. If you like, I can.
Yes.
I'll send you the link.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
Because it's always good.
Super I'm still very much a beginning speaker. You can see where I've scribbled some notes in there. I did learn on the second or third class that borscht is pronounced without a T on the end.
Right.
Our teacher was very specific about that. It ends in the Cyrillic symbol that has a SHCH sound. And she said, I don't know why in Hollywood people always pronounce it with a T on the end. But there's no T on the end.
Yeah. It is translated that way. So, I mean, the way I started was first, I obviously learned the hard way, but first I started by just learning the basics, Dyakuyu and Budlaska. And then I really had to get the Cyrillic alphabet down. That was the big thing, because that was the big adjustment. And then once I kind of knew most of the Cyrillic alphabet, I was able to walking around the city and figuring out, just trying to read the words, reading street signs. And then when I got to the point where I could read street signs, then I felt like I was like ready to take the next step and started, well, I'm still on that next step.
Start the next step.
Start the next step. Yeah. Which is, conversation essentially, So man, so, I mean, look, you've been here a month now?
About a month.
About a month?
Give or take.
Yeah. So there is so much cool stuff here to explore. I'm really glad to hear that you're going to go out and, kind of tour around. I mean, there are places that I would... So, wait, did you say you've been to Chernobyl?
I have not been to Chernobyl.
Neither have I. I just, I lived in New Mexico for so long, New Mexico and Arizona. I feel like I've been around enough nuclear radiation in my life. I'm good.
That's a little bit extra.
I'm good.
Just don't go digging trenches there.
Right. But there's a really cool place that you should ask about if somebody, it's good to go with someone, but there's a cool place called Pirogovo, which is like an outdoor historical park.
Okay.
So basically somebody went around Ukraine, and this was during the Soviet Union in like the 1960s and 70s. Some guy got approval to go around Ukraine and gather up all of these old houses going all the way back to like the 14th century and from all different areas of Ukraine. And it's an architectural park, a historical architectural park. And you can, you walk around and it's all these buildings, and they have reenactors who are there, and they're like doing like crafts and things. And there, to be honest with you, there are parks like that in multiple places, like in the Carpathians. There's those sort of parks. So really cool place. There are a couple of there's a place called Mamayeva Sloboda, which is in Shulyavska district. That reminds me, perfect timing. Greg was just asking me to show him around Ukraine, or around Kiev a little bit. And I just decided, well, why not do that on our live stream? So I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I would like to just share with you guys a little bit about Kiev. And let's see. Where are we going to go here? We're going to go there.
Yeah.
We're going to share this tab. So this, you guys, there's no OPSEC here. Don't worry. This, let me make sure that, okay. I want to replace screen sharing with this tab. There we go. Now let's try it again. Stop sharing now. It is not doing it for us. Let's try it again. Aha! There we go. That's what I was trying to do. Excellent. Okay. So, now I'm going to go full screen on this, but what I'm going to do here is move over with this so that I can see your guys' comments. I think that'll be the best. Okay, not full screen, but we'll go like that. Perfect. No, stop it, computer. There we go. So we'll take a look here. So we are in the city. This is kind of, let's just say you're in the general city. Your exact location is not marked here, by the way. That heart in the middle of the map is not, in fact, your hotel. It is actually, I think it's a gaming club that I used to go to, like Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, it's a they sell like Dungeons and Dragons games and dice and all stuff like that. So just so you know, Dungeons and Dragons since COVID is like a big thing here. I used to teach English using Dungeons and Dragons in Ukraine. I finished I finished my last class in March, in fact.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a great way to teach English and make it fun. So we're just going to zoom out here. And thanks for coming, Ken. So we're going to zoom out here and take a look at Kiev. Kiev, they say it has 3 million people, but honestly, if you take in all of the suburbs, it's more like 5 million. And some people say it's even more now since the war. So there are, I want to say, 5 districts. So Kiev districts map. Take a look at this. Yeah. We'll share this tab here. And so you can kind of, so that's a terrible. Maybe we can try that one. This one. Okay. That one's not too bad. There we go. So this kind of gives you an idea of like the districts here. Some of them are really huge. Podilsky, Shevchenkivsky, Pechersky, those are pretty much like the downtown districts. But the downtown area is really just right in the middle here. And then Dniprovsky, you'll notice that the ski is like, it's a suffix that kind of means like the area of, right? Okay. So like Zelensky, Zelenya, there's like Zelenya means green. So Zelensky's last name means like green area.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. And then so you can think of these larger districts as being basically suburbs. They are suburban districts. So if we go back to Google Maps now, I hope is there a bad part of town? Mark said. Yeah, everybody says that there are two bad parts of town. One bad part of town is right up here. It's kind of a suburb area, and it's called Troyeshina, and you can see it written there, Troyeshina. A lot of people hate this part of town. One reason that it's considered a bad part of town, though, is because it lacks public transportation. Of all the areas of Kyiv, Troyeshina has probably the worst public transportation. And speaking in general, I would say the left bank, which is what we call the right side of this map, they always, the way they give directions here, a lot of times in Ukraine, is based on the direction of the flow of the river.
Yeah.
So you have to think of yourself as facing the direction that the river is flowing towards. And in that case, then this side of the map is the left-hand side. So they call it the left bank and the right bank. This area here, if there were a bad area, according to some, it would be this area here, which is called Lisova. Lisova means forest, or like in the area, or the forest area. And again, it's about public transportation, And to be honest with you, when I first moved to Kyiv, my first apartment, let's see if I can find it. My first apartment, see, Lisova. Yeah, my first apartment was in this building right here, right across from the Robin Hood restaurant. Okay. And I mean, it was your typical not great Ukrainian commie block, basically. And I think my rent was like 5,000 hryvnias a month, or like 4,000 or something, which is incredibly cheap. It was a one-room apartment. And that's another thing, is when they rent apartments here, they tell you how many rooms there are. That's like, they literally mean rooms, not bedrooms.
Yeah.
So like you get the kitchen is not counted. The bathroom is not counted, but all other rooms. So the living room counts as a room. So if you get a one-room apartment, it just is basically just going to have a living room that is also your bedroom. Rick's new link is out there now. New link to what? Does he have a new fundraising link? Okay, anyway, I don't know. You guys let me know. But this area, again, this is, most people in Ukraine, or most people in Kyiv would say, if you want to go buy drugs, this is the area to go. But to be honest with you, like, it's not as bad as like an American bad part of town. This is not like, you go to bad parts of Los Angeles or bad parts of, look, it's just.
I've been in Ukraine, in Kiev, for about a month now.
Yeah.
I walked actually over a good part of the city, because I've had to go around, get various paperwork things done, to get my tax ID number.
Yeah.
So I've actually done a lot of walking. I haven't seen any place I would call really a bad part of town.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any evidence of crime.
Yeah. It's amazingly safe here. There is crime. I will say that the crime is usually petty theft.
Okay.
Like, don't leave your laptop sitting around, or,
I wouldn't leave my laptop sitting at, say, in the duster out there.
Right. Exactly.
That's pretty much good advice for anywhere.
It's petty theft. I've never ever been threatened here in any way, shape, or form. Now, as far as maybe if you want to talk about bad parts of town, and I'm not sure that I can actually find one just off the top of my head, but if you walk around town, you will see buildings that are like falling apart.
Yeah.
Buildings that look like maybe they got hit by a bomb, but they didn't. It's just somebody started building. I'm just going to a random part of Ukraine, by the way, guys. I'm not actually. Wow, it's a Google Maps picture at night. You never see Google Maps pictures at night.
That looks very nice.
That's freaking awesome. I mean, but to be honest with you, that's another thing, and I don't know how often you've walked around the streets late at night here.
I bet.
But one thing you'll notice is it could be 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's also very safe then.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I will see like mothers walking around with their toddlers at like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, get that kid home. What is going on? But it's pretty normal for I think in Kyiv in general, people stay up later,
mm-hmm.
and it's pretty normal for children to be allowed to stay up later. And this is one thing that I've heard that sometimes causes conflict with Ukrainian refugees.
Mm-hmm.
Do we still have Diet Coke?
Yeah.
I might sure. Take some. So Ukrainian refugees in like England or some of these other countries that they've gone to have occasionally had a little bit of conflict with their host family because they're like, they're like, it's pretty normal for the kids to be up until 11:30 at night playing or whatever, and that would not fly in most American households, I think. In general, So Catherine has also been to Ukraine. So K Bell, has also been to Ukraine several times, and you can feel safe just wandering around the city. Now, if you ask a Ukrainian,
mm-hmm.
do they feel safe just wandering anywhere around the city? They'll say, "Hell, no way! Oh my God!" But you have to understand that their concept of what is like our concept of safety and their concept of safety are very different things.
Okay.
Like what we consider to be a threat, I don't know. We just have, as Americans, and I know Catherine is in Australia, so I can't speak for that. But so there are definitely like industrial parts of town,
mm-hmm.
which, to be honest, I was on the tram today, and I got to see. Yeah, here we go. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
This is like kind of a, not great part of town. It's just like a back road somewhere. Nothing special. The other thing I would say about Kyiv. And I want to point this out. This is not the same in all cities.
Mm-hmm.
Kyiv has a real problem with trash collection.
Mm-hmm.
They do not have large enough. The city does not provide large enough trash containers for the number of people who are in these big ass buildings, and so you'll frequently see outside the trash, bins, giant piles of trash, and that is unique to. That is unique to Kyiv. Kharkiv, people in Kharkiv, they're like, we have the cleanest city in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
If a freaking cigarette butt falls on the sidewalk, there's like 5 people trying to catch it before it hits the ground. Lviv, I would argue, in my limited experience, because I've only been in like mainly the center of Lviv, but is kind of the same. Kyiv has maybe a little bit of a problem. Of course, I lived in San Francisco, and with like homeless encampments filling the sidewalk, every sidewalk downtown, you have to like be careful not to step on human feces pretty much everywhere you go, kind of a situation. And I've never had that here.
I've never seen that here. I'll add, I've walked to places, to the grocery store, or the market at like 11 o'clock at night. They have a curfew at midnight.
Sure.
But I go like, I've got to go down there quick. go 11 o'clock at night, and there's like one spot. There's a path where they're doing construction. You have to walk kind of through this dark alley.
Mm-hmm.
I walked there, felt perfectly safe. Other people were coming and going. There was no one seemed to mind.
Yep.
So I think I haven't seen any place that I would call by my standards a bad area.
Yeah.
It's all pretty good.
This what I'm showing you guys here is called the general area is Podil, and this area here is kind of a large area called Kontraktova Ploshcha, which means Constitution Square.
Oh.
And it's really a great place to go. Let's see, I may be getting mixed up a little bit here, but like this is kind of like a university district. So this is the big, it's called Mohila University. This is like a big business school, basically, where all the, like career economists come from. This is a Muzyczny, so it's a music school, music university, music college. That's Mohila University. I don't know. It's all a big university area, and the Constitution Square. Now, and I have no idea who this person is. I can't read the Cyrillic there, and it might be Russian too. I have no idea if it's Russian or Ukrainian. But I don't know if you've noticed this yet in your time here. Maybe you haven't been to all the right places yet, but the amount of public sculpture, like really good, amazing, interesting public sculpture everywhere you go, not just in Kyiv, but in Ukraine, is something that I just find really Aussie bugger. I have a mate here from Alabama, and he is so paranoid. He is always on edge. He trusts no one. See, this speaks a lot. I teach my Ukrainian students about this all the time. How Americans, we are much more defensive. We're much more on edge, is what I would say. Let's see. Okay. Oh, Sakai. Okay, sorry, I wasn't paying attention there. Sakai, I overslept and I'm streaming in about 1.5 hours after you finish. Perfect. That is great, because I want to finish now here in the next like 15 minutes, because actually I need to finish kind of like now, because I actually have a physiotherapy appointment at 8 o'clock tonight. Normally I do my physical therapy in my city, in my village, online. My therapist, he has an apartment in my area, but his clinic is in Bucha. Okay, so about half the time I showed him how to use Zoom. He'd never used Zoom before. I showed him how to use Zoom, and now he's able to teach not just me, but other like wounded veterans and things. Except today, I was like, "Hey, I have great news! I'm coming to Kyiv, so I'm going to come visit you in Bucha and have a one-on-one with you in your actual clinic." And he said, "Oh, I'm coming to your village this weekend." He had it all planned. So now we're doing an online class at 8 p.m. It's the only time that I had. And he's going to be in basically my home effectively, and I'm going to be in his home. So yeah. Anyway, so some places that I would just recommend that you really, really should check out. And there's kind of like, if you start from the Holodomor Monument, which you went to, which we were going to show pictures, but you know what? Send them to me, and I will like include them in like a post. They're on. Oh, you already sent them. Okay, fantastic. That'll be great. And I'll post them all like tonight or tomorrow. But so all along this area here, so the Holodomor Monument is like, I can't say exactly, somewhere. Yeah, here we go. Down here. This is probably it right here. Okay, It's one of the many monuments. Okay, so yeah, I was actually at that monument earlier today.
Okay.
And that's Pyotr right there. So basically, you can walk. There's pathways walking all the way along the river, not just down here, but up on the ridge as well. That goes all the way to like all the way along the river to Podil, which is this area here, and then you end up. So you will cross over. There's a bridge that's like right here, which is this. Have you seen the glass bridge?
I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't
So
seen
the
it in person
glass
yet.
the glass bridge is right here.
Okay.
Okay, and then you walk over the glass bridge and go along. There's actually several pathways that you can walk. You go along here, and then you get to this place which is called Andrivsky Descent, which is like basically the oldest part of Kyiv. When I say the oldest part, I mean like 5,000 years old.
Wow.
Okay, like I mean, obviously these roads are like 19th century, but that hill right there that you see behind there's archaeological evidence for that hill having been occupied going all the way back to 5,000 BC.
Wow.
Like so that's actually 7,000 years ago, and they call it Magic Hill or sometimes Castle Hill, and at various times of the year there are pagan groups that like to have big celebrations up there. It's pretty. I've never been to one before, but this right here is the stairs you take, the secret stairs that take you up to the top of the hill, and from that hill you can see the whole city. It's this really great, cool view. So that's why I'm saying. So you can walk from the Holodomor all the way to this place here, and then this right next to it here. This is the Kyiv National History Museum.
Okay.
Amazing. Again, like everything from 7,000 BC all the way to like modern days. And it's actually built around the ruins of, right, so this is the museum. This right here is the ruins of the church that, the first church that was built by the Vikings, basically.
Okay.
And it was destroyed by the Mongols, but they still have the foundations of it here. And anyway, I mean, there's just so much amazing history, and the other nice thing is along that walkway, starting from this area, like where I was showing you, starting from this area over here, along that walkway in the summertime and even in the fall, artists come and bring their paintings, and they'll just set them up on the street, and you can, I mean, I don't know why you'd want to buy these paintings, but they're all these hand done oil paintings and acrylic paintings, amazing artwork that you can just walk along and see along the whole walkway. It's a fantastic thing. So anyway, guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this little discussion and tour. I know that there are lots of other yes, Ozzy, but 5,000 years Kurgan, the Kurgan culture, and I've actually been on archaeological digs for the Yamnaya archaeological digs here in I was in Zaporizhia in 2021 before the war. So yeah, let's see. KK's GG. That last post of relatively speaking, not saying the East Coasters are wound too tight. Well, I'm a Californian, so I can say that. The West Coast attitude seems to be go with the flow. Yeah, in general, I think that's true. Can
you show people some of the pictures I sent you?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
So there's some really nice picture I took from the park that has a motherland monument in it.
Yeah. Let's see if I hope I can. Okay, go here, and then let's see if I can share, replace, window, boosh, ta-da! Look at that. Okay, open in browser. Oh, I can open it in the browser.
Yeah.
Oh, but wait a minute. It's only showing here. So there. Let's see. Let's make sure that I don't know if it's okay. I need to go like that. and then like that. Okay, and then we'll go here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there we go. That's what I wanted. So yeah, so this is if you're not familiar with this, the Motherland Monument, it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's just fantastic to get up close to. It's like the Statue of Liberty of Ukraine.
yeah.
You know, and it was built during Soviet times, but you know, they just recently replaced the hammer and sickle on the shield with the Ukrainian trident.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is, wait a minute, what's going on with my screen here? Let me see. I might have to stop and start again. There we go. What's really interesting is apparently there's an elevator that goes up to the top of the arms of the statue.
I've heard people say that, reference that.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I could go up there though.
No. You have to get like special presidential approval.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, so I you know, it's so funny. I was literally there like an hour before our live stream, but I wasn't in this part of it. So I really now, maybe tomorrow, I really want to go back and take some pictures. But so what's really cool about this is we don't have that one picture, but it was it's a picture of like a Soviet tank, and then in front of it is a Ukrainian tank, and they're like pointing at each other.
I've got that. I've got a picture of that.
Yeah. And so and these are some of the horses that Greg was talking about, which is pretty awesome.
I can send you this picture here, like.
Yeah, totally send that. Totally. Yeah, so it's coming through. It's coming through. We're putting the Wi-Fi through its paces. Yeah, so as you can see, horses are definitely a big thing here. And there are a number of like horse, you know, like I said, horse ranches or horseback riding, and this is really cool because this is the 3D printed auto loaders that you were making, dude. That's rocking, actually. And like I said, I've already spoken about you to a number of people. So
thank you.
Yeah, like the different NGOs that I've done work with, Angry Birds, which is one of the premier drone units in the ZSU, especially for prototyping and development, you know, which is really important. Okay, yeah, this is the picture here. Yeah, which is a really cool, like just a really cool scene. So obviously it's a Ukrainian tank facing off against 2 Russian tanks. I just think the statement of that is
I'll show
really
you
cool.
another picture here. This is it's a nice perspective picture. Find it. Here we go. You like this one? Or
Yeah,
this one?
actually, I don't either of them. That one's good. Yeah, almost like staring down the barrel. Yeah, you'll have to send me these, and I will put them in some posts on the community tab.
Okay, sure.
So that people can check them out.
Sure.
Here we go. Here, wait. Let me send that one.
Okay.
Because it'll take so long that way we'll get it. And then here we're going live on Discord. There we go. Yeah, that's a pretty crazy picture, man.
So I took a couple pictures where I actually slotted my phone in through a viewing slot on the tank. So the tanks are all locked out. A person can't get in there. But they have viewing slots, and they don't. I guess normally they might be glass or something. But that's
interesting.
So I slotted my camera in and took a picture. And actually, I then looked at the picture and I could see like the driver's seat and the gunner's seat and everything in there.
Yeah.
So I got kind of a picture of the inside. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is.
I had to be careful not to drop my phone though. That would be
right.
That would have been bad.
Yeah, really. Well, listen, this has been super awesome, and I hope everybody has enjoyed this, and guys, it's been really great having you, and maybe you can come on the stream again. I don't know when I'm going to be up to Kiev again, but maybe next time you can join from your laptop.
Sure.
Because you have a perfectly fine laptop over there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah. This is cool stuff. So I want to thank everybody for coming, and thank you all for the discussion and your comments. And I see you guys talking to each other about stuff, and I think it's really cool. I think it's cool that we have such a nice community here.
Yeah.
And I hope that those of you who are maybe thinking about coming to Ukraine to visit or to coming here to help, it's not as scary as it looks.
It's not scary at all.
Exactly.
The scariest thing was dealing with my American banks to get them to let me use my money here.
Right.
Before we go, I want to say something to the viewers. If you're an American and you want to help Ukraine, the most important thing I think at this point is to make sure everybody gets out to vote in November.
Yeah.
So
wow, isn't that true?
Yeah, there's no. I mean, we've seen what the Republican picks are, particularly the vice president. And, is a hater of Ukraine.
Yeah.
And then
the
orange felon for president.
Yeah.
They can be defeated soundly if everybody gets out to vote. There are more Democrats out there. There's plenty of supporters of Ukraine. So November 5th, get out and vote. Think of it as kind of like a freedom tax. You're going to pay. You pay some time that day, but you help ensure freedom for the United States, Ukraine, for NATO, and also if you got some time to spare, try to convince other people to get out and vote. They have like where people can volunteer and call people, get out the vote, get people out and voting in November. That is
a really great point. A really great point. So, in other news, before we go, I'd like to ask you all to check out this Facebook page if you're on Facebook, Fund Freedom Ukraine, and follow them, message them, donate to them if you can, and please, you guys, I'm getting ready to, I've been kind of saving up because there's no sense in sending just one antenna. I've been saving up to get a big order of all of this equipment for the drone team in Ithil Ambar, the secret place. And you guys have seen the flag, and they are really excited about it, and they're going to be so thankful. So we're doing that, and then also, of course, last time we had a mini raffle for our to buy a truck for Casey, who you guys met last time. And my goal, guys, is to be able to buy him a truck by the time he is ready to go back to his unit. He's, of course, you guys, if you saw the last stream, if you haven't, please go back and watch it. He got hit by a drone, by a frag grenade from a drone, barely escaped with his life. I thought he was dead. All of my friends, all of us who are in the Legion or ex-Legion, we all thought he was dead.
I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah. And so, if you haven't had a chance, you've been probably busy too. Go back and watch part of that stream because he's fully recovered, or recovered enough now, and he doesn't go back until I think he said he goes back at the end of August. So if you guys can help with this. There we go. If you guys can help with this, please do. Please do. It really means a lot. And that is all. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Greg. Heroam Slava. Do pobачення.